What is up, YouTube? Skylar Santana here. I want to start a series. I want to start my channel more of like a vlog style, but podcast, something to put in your ear, something to listen in the background. There's not going to be a crazy setup here. I'm not going to have a lot of studio equipment or a more refined setup. I'm looking to start another channel once I have that ready, but I want to get in front of the camera and just start shooting videos. A lot of the advice that I've seen online in starting a channel is to just start shooting videos and forget about trying to make a perfect channel and have a perfect setup and have a script, blase, blase. So the main thing that I wanted to do is just jump on front of a camera, start hitting record. I'm not going to be too specific about, well, I jumbled my words up here and, I didn't get a haircut. Of course, I'm going to look a little bit more professional as we go along, and I'm going to take this fairly seriously as far as keeping up with uploads and, just everything all around, right? We're going to improve week by week. I'm going to take a look at the videos that I'm shooting, but, I just don't want to get fixated on trying to make the perfect content out there. And then a lot of the, bigger guys say that no one's going to watch your first videos anyway, except for maybe family members and, loved ones. So, you know, hi mom, hi dad, if you're watching this video. But anyway, today I want to talk about uh, what to look for. What is the biggest advice that I could give to somebody who's starting to collect? Uh, Starting to put together their collection. Maybe you consume some concept, maybe you've been on Reddit, maybe you've been on YouTube. you know you're just starting off. Maybe you have a couple of pieces already, but you're not really entirely sure. Like, there's so many watches that have been produced and that are being produced. What's a mechanical watch? It can feel overwhelming, and I want to be able to maybe help, even if I help one person out there that watches this video that says, yeah, well, that makes sense, and I'm glad he made this video, and it worked for me. So at the end of the day, if you're starting off your collection, the biggest advice that I could give you is to slow down. What do I mean by that? You're going to pick your first piece that you want to wear, that you want to try out. Maybe you're most likely going to just shop it online. You're probably not going to go into an AD and try them on, because you're going to feel a type of way like, if I go into an AD and I try on a watch and I don't buy it, I'm kind of wasting their time. I don't know much about watches, so I'm a little intimidated to have conversation as far as, what to talk about even when I get there, and should I ask them a bunch of questions, yada, yada, yada. But when I say slow down, what I really mean is, after you purchase that first piece, whatever it may be, I started off with an Apple Watch, which I wear every day. And then I also wear either a mechanical or quartz watch. I double wrist. That's probably for another video. But after you purchase that first piece, you gain a certain confidence, and you right then and there, you kind of know, you know, whether or not you like that first piece, or whether or not you want to buy another watch, if this is something for you, if even wearing a watch is comfortable. So what happens is you go down a rabbit hole of consuming some content and being directed towards specific watches, be it iconic watches like how I got into watches. And then you go and you start searching online and you go, ooh, I really like this watch aesthetically. I don't know too much about it, but the watch community, either Teddy Baldazar or Jory Goodman, whoever it is that you're watching to get that information on a specific watch, you start feeling like, I gotta have it, and ooh, it's affordable. It's $100, $150, $50, whatever the case may be. And then you start building a collection and you go into 10 watches, 15 watches, 50 watches. It creeps on you pretty quickly. I mean, in 2 years, you can see a collector put 30 watches into their collection. And even after 2 years, you're fairly new to the watch market. You're fairly new to the watch community. You're fairly new to all the information that you can receive to better make that decision down the line of what really will fit you as a collector as you progress, and what's going to stay in your collection. And the whole point of this is to really prevent you from adding too many pieces to your collection that is just not going to make sense down the road. And what happens in the beginning for most collectors, right? There are a select few people that, just like how when you're small, you want to be a doctor and you follow through with that and you're happy, right? There are people out there that just know what they want and it works out at the end of the day, even after the other experiences that they receive in pursuing it, and they continue down that road. Now, watch collecting is very similar. You're going to pick a piece, whatever category, whatever you feel comfortable in choosing, and then you may stay in that category. You may like Invictas, and then you stay with Invictas and you start rapidly buying them because they're more on the affordable side. Um, but what happens is you start receiving more and more information as time goes on, and you begin to start realizing that, you know, let's use Invicta watches as a preference, right? Most Invicta watches that are affordable are not mechanical. They're mostly quartz, right? So, you start building this collection, you like this Invicta, you like that Invicta, and then you go, I like more mechanical, and I also like a smaller size on my wrist now. It fits better under my sleeve. I could wear it. It's more versatile with the clothes that I'm wearing. So on and so forth. And then and now you're stuck with 15 to 20 Invictus, in some cases 50, and you want to reverse engineer your collection, but what are you going to do with all these pieces? There's not going to be much to resell on that value of the collection that you've built, and this can happen with any collection that we're talking about, right? It just doesn't have to be Invicta that we're talking about. I by no means am targeting them. I accept all watches, to be honest with you. I call my Apple Watch a watch. I call Invicta's watches. I know there's a lot of ups and downs. I probably already lost some of you as far as subscribing to my channel by saying that. But the reason behind me accepting all watches in all walks of life is that, a watch is a watch, and it's going to promote somebody putting something on their wrist, and it's going to promote a bigger community. And for that reason alone, I rather accept everybody's wristwatch, no matter what company we talk about, whatever, what kind of collection they're willing to build. If it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's fine. But as far as like pushing somebody to the side because they like one particular watch, it's not really my style, and that's just my personal opinion. And if you don't share that, hey, listen, I respect how you guys feel as well. And if you feel like only certain one class of watch is considered a watch, by all means, like this just, I like the idea of growing the community. I think that the community is a lot smaller than what we actually believe it is. Like once you start going down the rabbit hole of looking up watches and going into the content, you start to feel or believe inside that the community is a lot bigger than what it is, when in actuality, once you bring that out to, like, let's say outside friends, or friends that you've had for a long time and they don't collect watches, they're not going to care. And that's pretty much the main reason why I wanted to even start this channel and start getting in front of the YouTube, because it's a lot. I want to have more of like that friendship type of vibe, that friendship type of feel. When you turn on this video, it's just like, hey, here's this regular guy. He's shooting videos. I can relate to him a lot more than I can relate to anybody else. And we could take it from there. But yeah, going back to my point, keeping your collection small, right? You're often here. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? And that you'll probably hear from almost every seasoned collector, or somebody even who hasn't been collecting too long. And there's a reason for that, and that is to prevent you from collecting too much too fast, and then being stuck with a collection that you either just you have to throw out, you have to get rid of, or B, you have to sell them off, and a lot of that money could have been allocated towards a watch that you really have found to like, after given all the information, after having some more time to do research and look into watches and refine how you want to move forward with your collection. So that's my biggest, um, I would say that was my most important advice when starting off a collection. The second to that would be how you're storing your watches, right? Oftentimes your first purchase, your first watch, be it a gift or something that you purchased, or even you may appreciate the first watch ever gifted to you, and then also appreciate the first watch that you bought on your own that was for you, and that was kind of your style and your taste, and there was a lot of beginnings type of feel that it takes you back after a couple of years of collecting that will have sentimental value in your collection. And over time you want to preserve the quality, you want to preserve the longevity of that watch because you have such an attachment to it. So my second biggest advice, if you're starting a watch collection, is to get a watch box. Right now, if you're on your first piece, you could probably just get away with keeping the box that it came in and just storing it in there. But what I want to prevent for you guys is like just throwing that watch that you purchased for the first time or that was first gift to you, throwing it in the drawer, throwing it left and right, just not storing it properly. You will come to regret that, I think, down the road, if it's a lot more beat up than it could have been, right? I think that just wearing a watch and naturally having, scratches or dents or whatever things that you've created over time become more like something that you're attached to. By that, I mean, you know, it gives it character, right? And that's your character because you wore the watch, and you'll probably remember when and where you dinged that watch, scratched it, whatever the case may be. At first you'll be a little upset about it, but ultimately you'll say, hey, listen, I remember I was at the pool in Florida and it was the best vacation I had, and that scratch reminds me of that time and place. So, you know, uh, what you don't want is that same watch not running 5-10 years down the line if it had that kind of longevity to it, because you just didn't care for it. And, you know, it's just maybe something you're not thinking about when you first start getting into collecting. You'll see other people's watch box and everything else, but you may feel, I don't really need a watch box. I don't have a big collection. I'm not even sure if I'm ever going to purchase another watch. But just make sure you have some contingencies in plan to safeguard that watch. I had a watch that was given to me by my wife at the time, girlfriend, at in '07. So we're talking maybe 16 years. Um, at the time, I wasn't a watch enthusiast. I did wear it a couple of times out and about. But ultimately, I ended up putting it in its original box, stuffing it in a drawer. Now, this was a quartz watch. This is a Michael Kors quartz watch. Beautiful watch. I'm super attached to it. Okay, well, I'll get into that in a little bit. But the point is that even though I didn't wear the watch, and even though I wasn't into watches at the time, by godsend, right? Because I didn't watch a video like this to tell me how to store a watch, even when I have only one or starting a collection. I stored that watch in the original box, threw it in my drawer, forgot about it for 13 years. I've been collecting watches. Yeah, about 12, 13 years. It was sitting in the watch box. Started my collection, moved, got married to my then girlfriend who gave me the watch, now wife. So again, super, super, super attached to that watch. I mean, you would think that it was a Rolex that I found when she pulled it out of the drawer when I was into watches, but I wasn't into watches at the time. I was just sitting at my desk. My wife comes over and she goes, hey, you have the Michael Kors watch that I gave you when we were 17 years old. And man, my whole world lit up. Like, I couldn't have been more happy. Talking about having an original watch that was given to me so long ago with so much sentimental value, it being the watch that my wife gave me, it meant the world to me when I was able to change out that battery. Of course, the battery was sitting in there for years. But when I swapped that battery out and the watch started running, it just made all the difference as far as having that watch and having it run. So you want to reenact that kind of feel for your collection, even if you're starting off now and you buy your first watch. Down the road, you want to be able to have that watch running and performing for you as best as possible. Maybe it's a mechanical watch and it may need a service, but at the end of the day, that's what it's going to benefit for. So anyway, that's all I want to talk about for today. I think we'll wrap things up here, and then we'll take it off next time on my next advice for any new watch collectors. Thanks, guys, for listening. If you still are listening, I promise you, I will get better at this. I'm really just at the drop of, like, I can even tell you while watching this video, I'm not making eye contact with the camera, which I know for a fact I'm supposed to be doing, but it's almost awkward at first to do that. But anyway, the point is that I will get better as time goes on with these videos, and I hope you guys can take this journey with me from the beginning. Until then, peace.